Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to be looking at Tiger Man number 1 through 3, published by Atlas Seaboard Comics in 1975. I've already done, I believe 3 videos featuring Atlas Comics, and I'm going to keep doing them. As I've said before, this comic company just fascinated me as a little kid. I discovered them in quarter bins where they remained for decades. And there was something about them that was so different than Marvel and DC. Even though they were very much trying to be like Marvel and DC, like take them on, head to head. But they did everything a little weirder and different. And they had some amazing artists and writers too, because they paid a lot more. So they lured away a lot of great talent for a month or two. And pretty much after 4 issues, that's the longest running title they had, they were gone. They lasted a year. But here we're looking at Tiger Man, one of the few actual superheroes Atlas had. Mask, leotard, fought crime. So many of their comics, because it was the mid-70s, they were horror, sci-fi based, because that was the thing in the 70s. It's almost like superheroes were on their way out. But there were still obviously superheroes still selling a lot, so Atlas had to, dip their foot into that genre as well. So we have a beautiful Ernie Colin cover to start it off. He's the artist of this issue. Very different looking. Just the art style, it doesn't have the bombast of your average superhero comic. It almost looks like it could be like a TV detective show, except for this superhero figure. But Ernie Colin's a great cartoonist. I believe we've talked about him before. Very interesting cartoonist in comics history. He just was all over the place. This is the guy. Look at this art. It's this is a serious style. This guy drew Richie Rich for 15 years or something. And he did it perfectly. He could totally draw that style. Then he could draw like this. And then, depending on the story, he would change his style and do them all well. He was a pretty consummate cartoonist. So we started off this story. These 2 biker thugs are going to mug this nurse. And all of a sudden, they say, "What the?" And Tiger Man pops in. And we see the difference already between Atlas Comics and Marvel DC. Tiger Man is savage. He's got these razor sharp claws and he's not afraid to use them on criminals. He just slashes guys' face to bits. Look at this. He's just gouging this guy's face right near his eyes. For all I know, he's gouging his eyes out. But I just wanted to say it's a really weird logo for superhero comic. Kind of looks like a barbarian thing. So he saves this nurse and puts these guys in the hospital, I imagine. The nurse says something like, "This is no city, it's a jungle," which prompts a flashback in Tiger Man's head. And we see Africa, a jungle, that's where it all began. So in Zambia, there's a ramshackle medical clinic. And this guy, Dr. Lancaster Hill, works there. He's in the Peace Corps. And he has this theory about how animals have a sixth sense of self-preservation. And he almost wants to isolate that, see if he could make a serum or something, give humans that ability. Really nice, just designy panels. I think Ernie Colin, isn't the kind of guy who grew up loving comics as much. Maybe he did, but I think he worked in advertising. So his art, has a different style than your average, mainstream comic book artist. Just the way he draws that leopard. That could be in an ad for something. Or these gazelles. Just really well drawn. So there's this tiger in this village, borrowed from India, I guess. And he knocks it out and extracts some blood from the tiger and makes a serum. hoping to do this, his experiment. Meanwhile, in this village, there's a witch doctor, and he hates Lancaster Hill. He's jealous of his, Western medicine. And even the chief of the village is all like, his medicine is better than yours. So he's just like, oh, fuck this guy. So one night, Lancaster Hill realizes, like, it would be unethical to experiment with anyone with my serum. It could kill you. Who knows? So I'm going to try it on myself. Meanwhile, the witch doctor is opening the cage to the tiger cage. And he figures that Dr. Hill will be blamed because it was his idea to have the tiger there for his experiments. So Lancaster Hill goes out to catch some air, and the tiger's there, and he attacks. And all of a sudden, Lancaster Hill has got this amazing strength, and he effortlessly knocks the tiger to the ground and strangles it to death. He looks really savage here. Die, die, die. And it's kind of weird, though. Like, he's got the strength. Why did he just return the tiger to the cage? Why did he have to kill him? I guess I shouldn't question those things. I'm like a backseat writer. I like it, though. Just showing the way he draws him there, so like he's losing it. So one day it's time for Dr. Lancaster Hill to leave the village. He served his term there. And the chief of the village gives him a tiger skin-like outfit made from the tiger he killed. It's like a going-away present. He lands in New York City. His sister is there to greet him, Anna. Turns out she's an up-and-coming actress. They obviously are very close. And she drops him off at his hotel and goes back to her apartment. When she gets inside, these two creepy guys are waiting. And I guess they saw her performance at the theater and figured she was kind of rich. And they want her money. We cut back to Lancaster Hill, and he gets a call from the police. And they're like, come down to your sister's apartment. And she's dead. The only thing she said before she died was bald. Bald. And she ripped some of his clothing when they were attacking her. And Lancaster Hill, with his increased tiger senses, smells horses on the clothing. Really nice panel. So Lancaster Hill decides to put on his tiger outfit that the chief gave him. And he's going to, take justice into his own hands and find these two murderers. Or how many they are. Panels like this when I was a kid, oh my God, I just thought it was so fucking cool. It's weird, these Atlas comics, I was so fascinated by them. I would reread them over and over, especially because there was only 4 of each, the longest running title. So because they were like ended prematurely, I was just like, I would reread them and imagine what if they went on, where the stories would have gone. So I just read them a lot. So like panels like this have such a resonance for me. Like now I'm like 56, but it just sucks me back. It's incredible how these imprinted on my brain, these comics. That's why I may be a little not very objective about the quality of these comics. I love them, but I know objectively they're not that great. So he's going all around the city trying to find where they have horses, and he realizes the rodeo's in town. So he goes to the rodeo, and he's, looking for all the riders, see if one's bald. And this guy, his hat falls off while he's riding a horse, busting a bronco. And he's bald. It's that guy. He follows him. He can totally smell it on him. He's like, yep, that's the guy. Oh, this panel too. I just thought that was so fucking cool when I was a kid. It's very moody. So he follows the cowboy hooks up with the other guy, who killed his sister, and they go into this bar. It's like a cowboy bar. Tiger Man follows them in. Man, I love his body language right here. See, this is what I mean about him being like, working in advertising and not just basing his comic art style on like studying other comic artists. It's just so expressive and like just natural. You didn't see cartoon like that often in mainstream comics. And so Tiger Man attacks the guys. All the other guys in the bar help out these two guys because they're just like, who's this freak attacking our cowboy buddies? And he makes short work of him. That tiger serum's pretty good stuff. And here we see again, he's just rending this guy's face, clawing this guy's back. And these aren't even the guys who killed his sister. As far as they know, they're just helping their friend against this weirdo. But then he grabs the two murderers and he just crushes them. It's a smash, but they're dead. So I guess he just throws them against the wall so hard they die. And he takes off. So that's the end of this issue. Tiger Man basically makes a vow to himself. Let the criminal beware, Tiger Man is here. It's interesting how Tiger Man questions his murderous ways. That was pretty unique for a superhero to, they never killed. But Tiger Man does kill, but he does like always constantly say, is this the right thing? Usually his answer is yes, it's fine. So here we have number 2. Like most Atlas comics, after the first or second issue, Atlas totally takes a left turn on all the titles. There'd be a writer and artist in the first or second issue, and then all of a sudden they'd be gone. It'd be some totally new creative team. A lot of times a totally new direction. Sometimes it would be like, different costume, takes place in a different era. They were just like grasping at straws. They really just, I guess the initial sales weren't that great. And they figured, let's be even more like Marvel Comics to compete with them. This is interesting, a Frank Thorne cover. God, I can't remember any other Frank Thorne superhero, drawing a superhero. Kind of weird. So here's our new team. Jerry Conway is writing now. At this time, Jerry Conway was pretty hot shit. He was like writing Spider-Man and Fantastic Four. He was writing all the big guns for Marvel. And Steve Ditko's taking over the penciling chores. Uncredited, but according to the Grand Comics database, this is inked by Frank Giacoa, long-term inker. Never liked the guy very much, but I kind of like what he does to Ditko in here. It's an interesting take on Ditko. One night, Tiger Man is on patrol. He sees these 3 bank robbers, and they got all this like kind of weird high-tech shit going on. Here's what I mean by Frank Giacoa's inks. Like, obviously that's Ditko, but it almost looks like more cartoony. Like the way that guy's smiling. I don't know, it's kind of interesting to me. It looks kind of good. So these guys have all kinds of high-tech gadgets that, make them kind of more than human. These security guards show up. They kick the shit out of them easily. And then I don't know why Tiger Man has been waiting this long. It looked like he was right next to these guys, but now he attacks after they beat the shit out of these cops, these security guards. And he makes short work of these guys. Beats the crap out of them. One of them gives up a name. He's basically like, this guy, Professor Cobart. gave us all this this high-tech stuff. So as Tiger Man's leaving the scene, all of a sudden we see someone following him. And it's this guy, the black leopard. I'm sorry, the blue leopard. And he attacks Tiger Man. It's kind of weird. He's got these little leopard prints on his costume, but it almost looks like flannel, like he's wearing old-time pajamas. And so they engage in battle. Blue Leopard seems pretty formidable. You know, he's got superpowers. Just like Tiger Man. We get to see some beautiful Ditko choreography. God, I love this shit when I was a kid. Even now, I still love it. It's like, it's such a great thing for superhero comics, especially when you're young, when they do like blow by blow the fight choreography, which Ditko was the master of. You're just following every kick and punch. So this Blue Leopard guy seems to know who Lancaster Hill is. He keeps saying, Lancaster Hill, you know, you will pay for the sins, you know, the sins against my people. You must die for this. And Tiger Man doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. So the Blue Leopard has like poison in his claws. Not enough to kill Tiger Man, but it knocks him out. So while he's passed out, we see a flashback. And the Blue Leopard takes off. Look at this tiger. It's so cartoony. That was a sad thing. Steve Ditko never learned how to draw animals after like 60 years of drawing or 50 years. Never could draw an animal. Any kind of animal. Horses, cats, dogs. Terrible. So while he's knocked out, we have another flashback. We just see the origin story retold. You can totally see the Frankie Akoa inks in here. It really makes it go a little, I don't know, different. It's interesting. So Tiger Man wakes up. He realizes he's late for his first shift at Harlem Hospital, where he's got hired. Excuse me a sec. And he's kind of agitated all day at work. And he kind of realizes, like, yeah, because I've got these two mysteries looming over my head. I got to find Professor Cobart. I got to find out what's up with this Blue Leopard guy. So as soon as he gets off work, puts on his Tiger Man outfit and goes to work. Around nightfall, he reaches Cobart's mansion. Cobart's pretty rich. And he breaks in. I really like this panel. It's almost like Alex Toth could have drawn that. Just the weird angle and the way the glass is almost abstracted, the broken glass. So he gets inside. Cobart's dead. And the Blue Leopard's there. He's responsible. And it's all a plan to frame Tiger Man. He says, all the evidence points directly to you, Tiger Man. And Blue Leopard fills him in on his backstory. Apparently this guy lived in that small African village that Dr. Lancaster Hill was a doctor in. And remember that witch doctor who hates Lancaster Hill's guts? I guess after Lancaster Hill went back to America, there was a famine. 200 people died of starvation. And he convinced everyone that it was the doctor's fault, Dr. Hill's fault. And so he picked one kid in the village and he cast a spell over him, increasing his strength threefold. And he was given a sacred leopard to wear, a sacred leopard dress. And they sent him to America to kill Dr. Hill. So now they start fighting, and we get some more great Ditko fight scenes. See, just like only Ditko would draw that. Just limbs akimbo. Just chaos. So the police show up. They hear sirens. So the Blue Leopard takes off. And Tiger Man really, once again, questions his modus operandi of killing criminals. Because he says, the leopard killed Cobart. I was going to do that. Came here planning to kill Cobart. So what's the difference between him and me? In the name of heaven, where does the hero end and the madman begin? Very Jerry Conway dialogue. Good question. I often ask myself that. Tiger Man number 3. Oh, look at this fucking shitty Larry Lieber cover. Larry Lieber was the editor of Tiger Man. I'm sorry, of all of Atlas Comics. And it's almost like every last issue of the Atlas Comics had some shitty Larry Lieber cover. I don't know if all the talent had already left and he had to draw them himself, or if he was like, hey, I used to work at Marvel. I know how to do Marvel. So he wanted to draw really Marvel-like covers. But Larry Lieber's a terrible artist, so they suck, all these covers. They also are notorious for having things on the cover that have nothing to do with what's in the comic. This has something to do with the comic, but there's this villain named Hypnos. He doesn't look anything like this in the comic. Not at all. But terrible, terrible stuff. So we have another credit change in here. Al Milgrom is now inking, but the writer and the penciler are still the same. Yeah, Al Milgrom, it's weird, that guy. He never really learned how to draw well. 40 years he got to trick people in the comic industry into having a career. But he's really he got worse even. I mean, in the 70s was probably his best stuff. Inking's Jim Starlin and stuff for the most part, but I gotta say, sometimes I like his inking of Ditko. It adds this raw crudeness to it. I don't know, it's weird. But just here's an example, just weird, crappy inking. Hell is spelled Hypnos. We start the story off, Tiger Man is running into his own hospital, Harlem Hospital ward, with a burn victim. And, he drops him off and is leaving. But the security guard gives him grief. He's like, hey, you can't just leave without answering our questions. And he says, that's what you think. And he takes a swipe at the security guard, who goes, yow. And then I don't know what he's quite doing here. It looks like he's running off in pain. I don't know. It's an odd panel. It's an odd little sequence. So now we see a flashback to how we got there. Harlem River Park that night. There's a young couple snuggling under a blanket, and this guy just pops up, oblivious to them, pours gasoline on his head, and lights himself on fire. Tiger Man shows up, grabs the blanket, and smothers the fire. Saves the guy's life. Now back in the present, Tiger Man changes back into Dr. Hill, and he basically goes into the theater of surgery and says, hey, can I help you guys? It's the burn victim that he just brought in. He kind of wants to see if he's going to be okay. Oh, God, look at that shitty inking. That is so bad. But then there's panels like this where I kind of like. So every now and then Al Milgrom can do some nice cross-hatching and some nice shading. It adds a nice weight to Ditko. But then sometimes it's just, So, the patient dies, the burn victim. We get another whole one-page flashback to the first issue again, his origin. We just did that last issue. Kind of silly. And on his way home, or on his patrol, Tiger Man sees this woman walking on the elevated train tracks. And the train's coming. So he leaps over to try to save her. Look at this contorted anatomy here. I think it's totally wrong anatomy too. But either way, it's very weird looking. So Tiger Man's, he rushes to the tracks. And he's too late. She dies. So Tiger Man reads in the paper the next day that the woman on the train tracks was named Hannah Markham, and she is a patient of Dr. Otto Kaufman, a psychiatrist. So he pays Dr. Otto Kaufman a visit. And this is a very unlikable character. And he basically is like, thinks that everyone is crazy. He's just like, you're obviously crazy too. You should come into my clinic. You seem disturbed. He's like, and Lancaster Hill's pretty pissed off. He's like, I'm only disturbed by your attitude, asshole. And one of his patients comes out, Miss Day. And she seems very cheerful and happy and is basically like, thanks, Dr. Kaufman. That was a great session. So as Tiger Man leaves, he changes into Tiger Man. And he sees this car driven by some maniac, swerving all over the road, going like 90 miles an hour. He jumps on the roof, and the car drives off this pier right into the water. Tiger Man pulls the driver out, and it's a woman. And it's not just any woman, it's that Miss Day from Otto Kaufman's clinic. And all she says is hypnos, which is what that burn victim guy said. That was the last thing he said, too. So Tiger Man's on to something. He sneaks into Dr. Otto Kaufman's offices at night, looking through his files. And it not only has a recording of every suicide, it even has notes on future suicides, the exact times and dates when they're going to happen. A little odd to keep that kind of paperwork. So Kaufman comes in, says, what are you doing with my files? And they start brawling. Kaufman looks like an old guy, but he's pretty burly. But he's got a secret power. That monocle on his left eye, it gives him psychic power. And he totally pins Tiger Man to the wall with it. Here's another example of that, like, kind of nice Al Milgram inking, where it kind of makes Ditko look a little better. But then there's so many panels where it makes it look worse. Very inconsistent. So Tiger Man walks off in a daze. He's been hypnotized. And here we see Kaufman, or Hypnos, I should say, reveling in his triumph. And he kind of tells us, you know, as only comic book supervillains do. He's saying it out loud to no one in the room. And he says, once you're dead, I will be free to pave the way for a new race of Superman, a world untouched by neuroses, a world that can only exist once everyone on Earth has been destroyed. It's such a stupid thing. He wants to kill everyone on Earth. So, of course, if everyone's dead, there'll be no more neuroses. Stupid as hell. So Tiger Man in a daze walks to a gas station, which just happens to be being robbed by these two thugs here. He walks up to the gas pump and starts dousing himself with gas. And then these two thieves who are done with their, robbing the store, they say, hey, you might have a wallet. Knock him on the head and let's check. And so they inadvertently saved Tiger Man's life. Meanwhile, back at Kaufman's office, he's hypnotizing another victim to go kill themselves. And Tiger Man bursts in. Of course, Hypnos is like, but you're dead. And Tiger Man's like, I'm not. So Tiger Man gives a quick nerve pinch to that guy, the patient, so he won't go off and kill himself. And then starts to fight Hypnos. This is a really fun, choreographed fight scene here. Hypnos is trying to hit him with his beam. Tiger Man keeps ducking and avoiding it. Look at that. That's a powerful punch. This one looks just like he's caving his chest in. I think it's like Al Milgram's rawness is adding to the, I don't know, almost violence to this. This is weird. Al Milgram's inks here, if you look at that face, you would never guess that was Ditko. Kind of neat. Al Milgram's inking is almost like a broken clock. It's right twice a day. Most of the panels are kind of really wretched. And then every now and then I'll pull some kind of good panel out of his ass. So he's chasing Hypnos to the roof. And I guess we find out that his psychic powers increase tenfold in sunlight. So Tiger Man's having a hard time avoiding the beam. It's slowing him down. It keeps grazing him. But then Tiger Man grabs the monocle from him and puts the beam on on Hypnos. So it works. He's like, death, it's the only answer. After all, I'm insane. And he jumps off the building. Tiger Man doesn't try to stop him at all. So basically, Tiger Man is thinking to himself, he's like, starting right now, I'm going to accept myself just the way I am. So basically, Tiger Man has come to the conclusion, hey, I guess I like killing criminals, and I'm going to keep doing it. That's what they deserve. So kind of interesting. There was no mainstream comic heroes like this who go around killing people. I mean, this is 1975. Sure, in the 80s, the Punisher became a hero, Wolverine. But yeah, in the 70s, this was almost, I'm surprised this got by the Comics Code. I thought that was maybe something in the Comics Code where you're not allowed to kill. I don't know. Who knows? Though I do got to say, though, these, pretty crude art. But the Ditko fight scenes, I just love that shit. I could read a 32-page comic every month if it was just Steve Ditko drawing, 32 pages of two guys fighting with his great, panelology. That would be fun. So there you have it. Tiger Man number 1 through 3. That's all she wrote for Tiger Man and for Atlas Comics. And I still miss them so much. Not a week goes by where I don't wish that. I wonder to myself, what if Atlas kept going? What comics would they have published? It's pretty sick. I'm a dork. But thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you join me here next time, back here at the Herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.